The millionaire CEO amazes everyone by rescuing a homeless woman from the pouring rain. The rain hammered against the windshield like 1,000 tiny fists. Marcus Mitchell, the formidable CEO of Titan Dynamics, navigated his sleek black Bentley through the storm. Dark clouds loomed like ominous shadows, and the world outside was a blur of raindrops and flashing headlights. Inside, the leather enveloped him, a cocoon of luxury. Yet he felt a gnawing emptiness creeping in, a hushed whisper questioning his choices. As he slowed at a stoplight, his gaze fell on a bus stop, the flickering neon of advertisements, a stark contrast to the gloomy surroundings. There she was, Clara, pressed against the shelter, drenched and shivering, her face smeared with fatigue, yet revealing a haunting beauty. She clutched a worn backpack, a fortress of memories. A pang shot through Marcus's heart, an emotion he hadn't felt in years. He could hear the voices of his colleagues in his head. Ignore. Get in, he shouted over the roar of the rain. Clara hesitated, eyes wide with disbelief. The storm howled like a beast, but she was desperate. She slid into the car, her presence a stark intrusion against polished leather and designer suits. "Thank you," she murmured, her voice thick with an accent that hinted at a past far removed from this moment. "I didn't think anyone would stop." Rain dripped from her hair like a cascade of shattered dreams. Marcus glanced at her, feeling the weight of her story pressing in. What brought her to this bus stop on such a relentless night? "Why are you out here?" he asked, his voice softer now, curiosity piqued. Clara's eyes drifted, filled with memories. "I used to be in corporate too, high up actually, a VP, but it all fell apart." Her words tumbled out like a confession. Betrayal and corruption, the kind no one sees coming. "I lost everything." Marcus swallowed hard, tension creeping into his chest. "What do you mean?" he probed, a tightness in his throat. Was it possible she could be connected to him in some dark way? The rain pounded against the car like an urgent heartbeat. Clara's story began to weave into his, tangled in threads of scandal. "They lied. I took the fall for others' mistakes," she continued, eyes gathering storm clouds of their own. "I know things, Marcus, things about Titan Dynamics." A shiver ran through him, a sense of dread mixing with the rain. "What do you know?" His heart raced, the air thick with tension. There was more to her story, something deeper and darker. Before she could answer, distant sirens echoed through the storm, rattling both their nerves. Outside, the world seemed to pulsate with hidden dangers, shadows lurking in the chaos of falling rain. In that car, as they both sat soaked and vulnerable, Marcus felt the walls of his carefully built life shaking. Clara had become an unexpected mirror, reflecting secrets and fears long buried. The storm raged on, and with it, the storm brewing within him. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important alert. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube has removed their subscriptions without warning. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you... And while you're here, drop that powerful like that helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every incredible person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact." The rain pounded louder, mixing with Marcus's thudding heart. Clara's eyes were dark pools of unspoken stories, drawing him in. He wanted to know more. The moment felt electric, heavy with possibilities. But just as he was about to probe deeper, the distant sirens grew louder. "Do you hear that?" Clara's voice trembled, her expression shifting from contemplation to fear. The tension in the car snapped. Marcus turned to the side window, the blurring raindrops creating ghostly images outside. Suddenly, there was a flash, a light so bright it cut through the storm. And then, boom, the sound shattered the air around them. Marcus jerked in his seat, heart racing. "What was that?" Clara gasped, panic washing over her face. The sirens grew closer. Before Marcus could respond, the rear windshield exploded inward. A torrent of rain and glass shards flooded the back seat. Marcus ducked instinctively, shielding Clara. In that split second, confusion clouded his mind. Who would attack them? He quickly turned to see a figure approaching through the darkness and downpour. A man, drenched, eyes wide, frantically waving something. It dawned on Marcus like ice water. This was a robbery. His heart leaped. Stay down. He shouted, reaching instinctively for the door. But then, something shifted. The man stumbled to the side and dropped to his knees, gasping. The demeanor completely changed. I'm sorry, he cried, looking directly at Clara. Panic morphed into desperation. They're coming for me. Please let me in. Clara's face twisted in confusion. You know him? She asked, her voice shaking. No, Marcus snapped, fighting against the urge to open the door. Get away from the car. Please, the man begged, his breath ragged. It's not what you think. They're after me. They'll hurt you too. Marcus felt the weight of his own decision. The heavy rain echoed the turmoil in his chest. Was he about to let a dangerous stranger into his luxury car, or turn away and risk Clara's safety? Clara suddenly pushed to the edge of her seat, staring intently at the man. You worked with me at Titan. Her voice rose, trembling with emotion. What happened? Why would they come after you? The man looked up, his eyes frantic and pleading. You were set up, Clara. Just like me. They're covering up the scheme. The betrayal runs deeper than you know. I'm not the enemy. A wave of unease crashed over Marcus. Secrets? Betrayals? Were they all caught in some dark web? What are you talking about? He demanded, voice trembling. The sirens wailed closer, drowning out the sound of rain. Clara shot Marcus a wild glance. It was clear that she wasn't sure if he was friend or foe. What do we do? She whispered, wide-eyed. The racing pulse of chaos echoed in Marcus's ears. Everything he thought he knew was spiraling. Who was this man? What was the connection between them? He needed the truth now. As the headlights of police cars cut through the night, illuminating the scene ahead, the man suddenly shouted, If you want to find out the truth about Titan, you have to trust me. But hurry, they're coming. Torn between fear and an overwhelming urge to uncover hidden truths, Marcus felt the boundaries of his world crumble. Everything shifted. Nothing was as it seemed. The storm raged on, echoing the turmoil inside. Then, out of the shadows, figures emerged from the darkness. A gang of men, faces hidden, weapons drawn. Now, He-Man shouted, and time froze. The urgent pull for survival clashed violently with the aching need for answers. What would Marcus choose? The headlights sliced through the rain, casting eerie shadows across the dark street. Marcus's heart hammered in his chest as he turned back to the man outside, needing to make a choice, safe but uncertain, or chaotic yet revealing. Let him in, Marcus. We have to know. Clara's urgency bit into him, but before he could respond, the armed men emerged, gliding like ghosts through the sheets of rain. Their faces were obscured by hoods, shadows cloaking their intentions. Get out, everyone, one of them barked, his voice heavy with authority and menace. Time slowed. The moment felt like it stretched for eternity. Clara's breath quickened beside him, a shared panic igniting the air. What do we do? Please, Marcus. Her voice trembled. I don't know, he hissed, mind racing. He could either follow Clara's instinct or play it safe. It was a gamble, but if they were connected to Titan dynamics, could they possibly help her? Suddenly, the man outside lunged forward. You don't understand, they're coming for you too. He was close enough now that Marcus could see the fear etched across his face. Trust him, Clara urged, desperation lacing her words. In a split-second decision, Marcus yanked the door open, adrenaline surging. Get in, now. The man dove inside, heart pounding out in the chaos. I swear I'm not the enemy, he pleaded, gasping for air. The car instantly felt cramped and charged, a volatile mix of anger, fear, and confusion. But just as the man settled, an explosion of sound shattered the tension, a deafening crack like thunder. "Get down," Clara screamed, instinctively ducking. Marcus felt the world tilt. The rear window shattered, fragments raining down as the intruders rushed forward. They were seconds from breaching the car, faces twisted with fury. It wasn't just robbery. They meant to destroy. Then, amidst the chaos, something changed. The man next to Marcus suddenly clutched his chest, eyes wide with agonizing realization. No. No, this can't be happening. Clara spun to him, horror puckering her brow. "What is it? What are you talking about?" He gasped for breath, fingers trembling. "I didn't. They planted it. It was me. I was the mole." Marcus felt the floor drop out beneath him. "You? What do you mean?" The words barely escaped as shock drained the color from his face. I thought I could change things. I didn't know." His voice cracked, and then he turned violently, reaching toward Clara. "I never wanted this to happen. They set you up too, Clara. All of it was planned, you were just a pawn." Clara's expression twisted, torn between disbelief and panic. "Why should I believe you?" she hissed back, eyes darting to the window as the figures edged closer. But before anyone could react, a stinging flash of white light erupted from the darkness. One of the attackers pulled a trigger, momentarily illuminating the rain-soaked world outside. The car shook violently, the sound reverberating through Marcus's chest as Clara screamed. And then, in a blink, there was nothing, only deafening silence, broken only by the relentless patter of rain. When Marcus opened his eyes, the car felt different. Something had shifted. Clara was still beside him, but the man who had entered was gone, and so were the gunmen. The night was still chaotic, but now it felt as if a void had swallowed pieces of reality itself. Cold dread gripped Marcus. What had just happened? Had it been a hallucination? Or something far more sinister? As he and Clara exchanged terrified glances, a whisper of doubt settled in the dark corners of their hearts. They had been thrust into something they didn't understand, a game of chess where the rules shifted with every move. "What do we do now?" Clara's voice cracked, leaving the weight of uncertainty dangling between them. Marcus took a deep breath, his mind racing, and then it hit him. "I need to know more about Titan. We have to uncover the truth." But as he glanced back at Clara, a chilling realization dawned on him. Could she truly trust him? Or was she part of something even darker? The shadow of the past loomed large, and they stood on the precipice of a truth even more terrifying than the storm raging outside. As Marcus and Clara sat in the car, the world felt heavy with unspoken truths. The storm raged on, but now a void had filled the space beside them. The air crackled with tension, uncertainty washing over them. They had come so close to unraveling something sinister, something that could change everything. But why was the man gone? "What just happened?" Clara whispered, her voice trembling. She looked around, searching for answers in the gloom. "Where did he go?" "I don't know," Marcus replied, his mind racing. There was an urgency in his chest, something urgent yet hidden beneath the chaos. A pull toward the unknown. He glanced at Clara, a mix of fear and determination written on her face. "We have to get out of here." Just then, a loud bang echoed through the night. The sound jolted Marcus upright, heart pounding. They both froze. Was it another attack? He turned to the rearview mirror, straining to catch a glimpse of what was happening behind them. But instead of armed men or a confrontation, he saw nothing. The street lay empty, eerie, and silent, except for the steady thrum of rain on the car. A chill raced down his spine. How could it go from chaos to this strange calm? "Do you think they left?" Clara's voice was hushed, eyes wide with disbelief. "Maybe," Marcus said, brow furrowing, "but I don't trust it." Suddenly, a flash, bright and lingering, caught his attention. It wasn't the storm. It was a shimmer, glistening on the floor of the back seat. Marcus turned just in time to see a small device slide forward from under Clara's backpack, glittering ominously like a dark star. "What the?" he muttered, reaching for it. As he picked it up, everything shifted. The moment his fingers touched the device, a loud crack echoed from somewhere outside. The world tilted again, the sound of thunder rumbling deep in the distance. It was deafening. "Marcus!" Clara shrieked, pulling him back just in time. Look! Charging through the sheets of rain was a figure, wild and frantic. He was waving frantically, his face obscured yet oddly familiar. The world blurred around Marcus as he squinted through the downpour, realization dawning on him. It's the man!" he gasped. But then, something unexpected happened. As the man stumbled closer, his features became clearer, framed by lightning flashing overhead. Marcus's heart dropped at the sight. It was someone he recognized too well. His former colleague, David, the man he had trusted, the very one who had vanished days before, looked as if he had seen a ghost. "Marcus! Clara!" David shouted, his voice barely audible over the storm. "You have to get out of here. It's a trap. They're coming for you." "David?" Clara's voice cracked. Confusion flared in her eyes. "What are you doing here?" But the question hung unasked in the charged air. Marcus, overwhelmed, felt something cold grip his stomach. The pieces he thought he had arranged were now flying apart. David, a mole, a thief, a traitor. A man who had walked away from Titan, without explanation. "Why should we believe you?" Marcus snapped, anger boiling over. "You left us hanging." "I had no choice," David pleaded, stepping closer, rain running down his cheeks like tears. "I was just following orders, just like Clara. Everything was rigged. I thought I could save you both. But it was a setup." Clara turned to Marcus, panic swirling between them. "What does that mean? What did you do, Marcus?" Before he could reply, it struck him. Clara was just a pawn. Was she as much a target as he was? He felt the ground slipping from under him. The truth barreling forward, threatening to shatter everything. Dread gripped him. Memories swirling of their shared moments, the trust he had placed in her. "No," he whispered. Realization creeping in like shadows. "You knew all along?" "No! No, it's not like that," Clara cried, her eyes wide. "I swear." But just then, David's expression shifted, fear creeping into his eyes. "They're here!" As headlights sliced through the rain like knives, illuminating the street, Marcus felt the air turn electric. As the vehicles approached, men piled out, weapons raised. Clara's expression twisted into something between shock and horror. "You have to run," David shouted, panic transforming into urgency. But Marcus stood frozen, caught between the storm raging outside and the tempest inside. Trust no one. He heard his own thoughts scream, and as the rain soaked his skin and heart raced with adrenaline, he knew the night was far from over. The game was just beginning, and everything was unraveling. Was Clara truly an ally, or had he set his fate in motion without realizing it? Would he unleash something far darker than this rain-soaked night? Time hung in the balance, possibilities swirling like the storm. He could feel the edges of betrayal closing in. The world hung in uncertainty, and the truth loomed large, darker than the shadows they now faced. As the headlights of the approaching cars sliced through the rain, Marcus's heart raced. The tension hung thick, a stifling mist of fear. He looked at Clara, whose eyes mirrored his terror, both thinking the same thing. "What now?" "Run," David urged. But before, the armed men were frozen, alerted not by the noise, but by something deeper. An unsettling silence enveloped them. A moment hung heavy in the air, charging it with unexpected tension. Then it happened. A flash of blinding light erupted from the sky. Clara shielded her eyes, and Marcus was momentarily blinded. All around him, the noise of the storm dulled. replaced by a strange, almost soothing hum. The world blurred, while the light pulsated, bright and brilliant. And just like that, it was gone, replaced by chilling darkness. When Marcus opened his eyes, everything had changed. The armed men were no longer just a few feet away. Instead, they were gone, as if swallowed by the earth itself. The cars that had been racing towards them had vanished into thin air. He and Clara were left in a world where the rain still drummed on the roof of the car, yet everything else felt eerily stagnant. What just happened? Clara breathed, panic creeping back into her voice as uncertainty gnawed. David was gone too, gone without a trace. "Marcus, we need to go." Clara's urgency snapped him back. They might be regrouping. But the moment felt different now. The shadows had shifted. The tension felt less immediate, more ethereal. Everything was distorted. He reached back for the strange device he picked up from the floor, but it wasn't there. "Wait," he said slowly. Something flipped in his mind, a realization dawning. What if this isn't just about our past? What if? Just then, Clara's phone buzzed. She pulled it out, eyes wide. "It's a message from— oh my God, it's from David." "What?" Marcus grabbed for the phone, his heart thudding. The screen lit up, an ominous text flashing before him. "Marcus, Clara, I'm sorry. I was the setup. Not just me, all of it. We're in danger. Get out, now." Clara echoed. "But why? Where are you?" Tears brimmed in her eyes. "Did he set us up?" Marcus's voice dropped to a whisper. The nagging doubt he'd pushed aside was growing, grabbing hold of him tightly. Before Clara could respond, a loud crack of thunder shook the air, shaking the very foundation of their world. The rain intensified, pouring like a torrent. And then suddenly, they weren't just alone. Figures began to appear in the distance, materializing from the shadows. But they weren't chasing them. They were dressed in pristine suits, sleek and dangerous, faces obscured by masks that echoed a choir of sinister intent. "Who are they?" Clara whispered, eyes widening, realization dawning like doom upon them. As they moved in unison, their presence seemed to sway the storm itself. With each step, the air charged with energy, a palpable crackle that fluttered through Marcus's bones. It was then he felt it, a pulse from the depths of his soul, a visceral connection like lightning in his veins. And Clara. Her expression shifted. Recognition dawning, but not fear. Exhilaration. "What's happening?" he asked, voice trembling. But she didn't reply. Instead, she stepped forward, moving toward the encroaching figures, her eyes alight with a mix of fury and understanding. "Clara, no!" he shouted, gripping her arm tight. "Don't. They could be." "Marcus, stop." Her tone matched thunder, unyielding. "It's time to reveal the truth." He watched in breathtaking horror as she pulled free, stepping into the rain, arms open wide to the unknown. "Enough of the lies," she cried, her voice rising above the storm. "I'm done hiding." And just like that, the ground beneath Marcus's feet shifted once more. He felt the world spinning, past and present colliding. All the suspicions, the secrets, they were suddenly thrust into the spotlight, awaiting the revelation that would shake everything apart. He knew the truth, but was terrified to face it. And standing in the rain, he felt an overwhelming rush. Was Clara a player in a game he didn't even know existed? What had she been hiding? In that moment, the real storm unleashed itself. His world twisted, and Marcus stood stranded on the brink of revelation, drowning in questions. Everything he thought he knew felt like a fragile illusion, unraveling rapidly in the dark. What lay ahead was a truth larger and more terrifying than the storm itself. The rain continued to pour, drenching Clara and Marcus as they stood in a surreal stillness, surrounded by shadows blossoming from the darkness. Clara's wide eyes burned with determination. "I'm done hiding." "Clara, no!" Panic surged in his chest, but there was something mesmerizing in her stance, a fierce courage he hadn't seen before. It pulled at him, the idea that maybe she was more than he thought. The figures advanced, gliding closer, their masked faces unreadable. Clara lifted her chin defiantly. "Enough of the lies," she shouted again, echoing across the storm-soaked street. The air shifted. There was a palpable tension, like the charge before a thunderstrike. And just then, without warning, a blinding light erupted again, illuminating the rain-drenched night like the sun had come to claim the sky. Marcus shielded his eyes, instinctively ducking as an overwhelming noise slammed into him, a cacophony of thunder, screams, and the roar of engines colliding. Then, everything went silent. When the light faded, Clara stood frozen. But Marcus noticed, moving behind her, standing at the edge of the shadows, was another figure. This one wasn't masked, and as the light descended, it bathed him in an ethereal glow. "Marcus!" the man yelled, his voice slicing through the silence. It was Jason, Marcus's closest confidant, a man he trusted above all others. "Don't let her do this." Shock gripped Marcus. "Jason?" His mind spun, confusion and betrayal twisted together. "What are you doing here?" But Jason's eyes were locked on Clara, the fury boiling beneath the surface. "You don't know who you're dealing with. She's not what she seems." "Stop it!" Clara snapped, her tone fierce, but no longer confident. In that moment, a realization unraveled in Marcus's mind. He felt it in his bones. Clara was connected to something darker. "What are you talking about?" he said, the fear creeping back into his voice. Jason took a step forward, urgency lacing his words. "She's been playing you both, setting you up to draw you in closer. She's involved in the scandal deeper than you know. Titan Dynamics isn't the real threat. She is." Clara's expression flickered, horror mixing with anger. "That's a lie. You're twisting this." Marcus felt a chill sweep through him. "Clara, is that true?" "No!" she shouted, but for the briefest moment, doubt passed over her face, like clouds obscuring the sun. As Marcus took a step back, he felt the world tilt beneath him. The storm spiraled back into chaos, filling the air with shades of confusion. "Trust him?" Clara's voice cracked, the fear mixing with rage, desperation twisting her features. "You've known him forever." "Clara, I'll confront him if you give me a reason." Suddenly, from somewhere in the dark, another figure emerged, and Marcus's breath caught in his throat. It was David, reappearing without warning. "You have to listen." "Jason's right. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was caught in this. All of us are pawns." Marcus felt everything in that moment shatter. It was as if the ground beneath him gaped open, revealing the abyss. "What are you saying?" "A betrayal runs deeper than your wildest fears," David gasped. "There's been a plan all along." Clara shook her head, the edges of her world crumbling. "You're lying." "No," Marcus shouted, overwhelmed. "People don't just change sides. This doesn't make sense." But in the flickering shadows of the night, the truth hung heavy, knotting the air around them. The thunder rolled through, echoing in his chest, and suddenly everything erupted. The masked figures finally charged. The storm like a backdrop to the chaos advancing toward them. Marcus was lost. Nothing made sense anymore. He turned to Clara, searching for clarity, but saw only fear in her eyes, a fear that mirrored his own. And then it happened. A shot rang out, striking near them, echoing with finality. The world shifted violently again. Clara fell to the ground, clutching her side, eyes wide with disbelief. "Clara!" Marcus screamed, rushing to her side, the reality crashing down around them. In that instant, Marcus's mind was set ablaze. Clara gave him a small, panicked smile, the truth dawning with a finality that turned his world upside down. He realized, in a heartbeat, that the battle was no longer outside, but within. "Is this what you really wanted?" she gasped, struggling to breathe as the rain washed away the clarity of the night. And in the chilling rain, a shadow fell over everything, sealing their fate beneath the storm, as they were left to grapple with the devastation, the ultimate betrayal. Clara's gasp pierced through the tension, a sound that rang in Marcus's ears like a siren. He felt the heat of her blood seep through his fingers, the horrifying reality of the night closing in. "Stay with me," he. But as she struggled, Confusion clouded her gaze, and he felt his own heartbeat quicken, matching the storm outside. "Marcus," she breathed, eyes pleading, "I didn't mean for any of this." Suddenly, an explosion echoed, this time a shot from the shadows, not the thunder. It shattered the air like glass. Marcus ducked instinctively, pulling Clara close as more chaos erupted. He could see movement now, a blur of figures rushing toward them out of the rain, illuminated only by flashes of lightning that danced like angry specters. "Get away from her!" Jason's voice cut through the din as he shouted, stepping forward, protective yet frantic. Then, a flash of red and blue lights pulsed through the storm's darkness. An unmarked van careened to a stop nearby, doors flung wide. Masked agents flooded out, their movements sharp and precise, weapons raised. "Get down! Everyone to the ground!" one shouted, his voice booming with authority. The air thickened with panic. Marcus pulled Clara closer, her head barely lolling against him, eyes fluttering. We can't let them take you." But then something changed. The leader of the masked agents stepped forward, the way they moved radiating an unsettling calm. "We're not here to hurt anyone," they declared, voice steady. But their eyes lingered on Clara with an intensity that sent chills down Marcus's spine. "Let her go," Jason urged, but the air hummed with tension. "Marcus," Clara whispered, breath strained, You need to trust them." "What?" Marcus's heart raced. "Why? They're here for me," she screamed, a rush of adrenaline flooding her voice. Those piercing eyes were on her now, unflinching. Behind the agents, the chaos faded. Marcus felt his breath catch. "Clara, what are you saying?" Up before she could answer, a deafening clap of thunder erupted, and a blinding flash illuminated the night sky, casting shadows of doubt on everything he knew. When the light receded, a figure stood at the edge of their chaos, a woman, strikingly familiar, stepping through the rain like she owned it. "Claire," Marcus gasped, watching the woman with disbelief. She was the one person he never thought he'd see again, an old colleague who had vanished during the Titan scandal all those months ago. "Marcus," she said flatly, "you don't understand what's at stake." "Claire?" He tried to process the whirlwind of emotions. "What do you mean?" Before she could reply, Clara fell limp in his arms. A frightening realization washed over him. He needed to act fast. "You need to help her," he shouted at Claire. Claire interrupted coldly, her demeanor shifting. "You've been so blinded by your trust. Everyone here has played a role. I'm here to clean up this mess." Panic rose again, swirling with confusion. Questions flooded his mind. And then it hit him, a surge of betrayal like a wave crashing down. "You knew," he accused, eyeing Claire. "You all knew what was happening. You used us." "Only the necessary pieces," Claire replied coolly. "Clara was perfect. A clean connection to the greater game. You had to be brought in to complete it." "Brought in? For what?" The reality twisted his stomach. "What have you done?" The masked agents advanced, encircling them, and Marcus felt cornered. "You're planning something," he said, voice trembling. "Why can't we just leave?" "No one is leaving," Claire declared, a chilling smile creeping across her face. "Not until we finish what was started." Gunfire erupted from the shadows. Marcus ducked instinctively. But as the sounds echoed, everything erupted into chaos again. Lightning flashed, illuminating the night, and in a blink, Clara's body vanished from his grasp. "Clara!" he screamed, the emptiness in his chest clawing at him. The agents shifted, louder and more chaotic. Marcus turned just in time to see Clara's terrified face disappear into the dark. "No!" he roared, despair crashing over him like the heavy rain. In that desperate moment, he realized something monumental. The truth was deeper, darker than he could fathom. He stood there, uncertainty swirling around him, wondering, was Clara truly the victim, or had she been playing him all along? And as he watched the storm continue to rage outside, he grappled with one haunting question. How far had everyone fallen into this game? He felt the world spiral into chaos, shadows closing in. The storm was just beginning, and so was the true nightmare. The echoes of chaos swallowed them whole. Clara's gasp hung in the air, her body heavy in Marcus's arms. The masked figures, once menacing, faded away into the shadows of confusion, leaving him with only the loud drumming of the rain and the chill of fear pulsing through his veins. "Clara, stay with me!" he shouted, panic clawing at his insides. He brushed a wet strand of hair from her pale face, trying to keep his breath steady. He could feel her heartbeat flicker, weak and erratic. Moments stretched out unnaturally, the world around them fading into a muted blur. Then, from somewhere deep within the storm, a sudden roar erupted, a deafening sound that jolted Marcus upright. The ground shook beneath them, an unsettling vibration that sent shivers down his spine. He turned, his heart racing, and watched as the figures in suits fell back, seemingly scattered by a force far beyond him. And then, light. Blinding, all-consuming light. Pouring from above, as though a new sun was breaking through the thunderous clouds. "Ma," he gasped, squinting until he could see clearly again. What he saw twisted the very fabric of reality. Hovering above them was a drone, sleek and imposing, a metallic bird gliding effortlessly through the storm. And beneath it, a beam, cutting through the rain and finding its mark. "No," Marcus shouted, recognizing the target. "Clara, get down!" But it was too late. The beam shot down, capturing Clara in its blinding light. She gasped, eyes wide, not with fear, but recognition, an expression that struck Marcus to the core. "No, Clara," and in that moment, everything shifted again. The realization was like ice water splashing against his heart. It wasn't just about her anymore. The truth sliced through the air as Clara's voice echoed back, filled not with confusion but power. "I'm here to end this," she cried, standing now beneath the gaze of the drone, losing her previous frailty. "End what?" Marcus breathed, a growing dread swelling inside him as the world warped further. Clara's demeanor transitioned. The shivering woman he held moments ago transformed into something else entirely, someone else. She stepped forward, her expression fierce, eyes glinting with a ferocity he had never seen. "Titan dynamics, Marcus. You don't understand yet. All of this, a game, and I've been the one playing it." The revelation rocked him like thunder. Clara, the victim he had fought for, the lost soul he thought needed saving, was orchestrating the entire storm. Betrayal knifed through him, freezing his heart. But before he could process the turmoil, a sudden explosion ruptured the night air. A blast that knocked them both backward, pain crashing over him like a tidal wave. As he gasped for breath, the world spun. Shouts of alarm filled the rain, chaos regaining its grip. Siren wails blended with the storm, and figures rushed from the periphery, weapons drawn. "Stand down!" The authority of voices cut through, sharp and decisive. By instinct, Marcus turned toward Clara, ready to confront her. But she was gone. The light dissipated, revealing a swirling tempest of confusion and chaos. "Clara!" he screamed, panic lacing his words. But she had vanished without a trace, melted back into the shadows she had so effortlessly commanded moments before. The realization struck Marcus harder than any blow. The true game was just beginning, and he had no idea whose side he was truly on. A loud crack resounded through the night, and he turned again, catching a glimpse of something familiar in the confusion. A brief flash of David's face amidst the tumult, eyes filled with urgency. But it was nothing compared to the weight of Clara's ultimate betrayal that now loomed over him. "Where are you?" Marcus shouted to the storm, feeling utterly lost. Questions clawed at him, drowning in a sea of uncertainty. How far would this game stretch? What had he truly been a part of? Thunder rolled, the world around him cracking open with noise, and with each falling raindrop, the ground of his reality shifted beneath his feet. The storm was only getting stronger, and so was the dark mystery it held. The echoes of chaos swallowed them whole. Clara's gasp hung in the air, her body heavy in Marcus's arms. The masked figures, once menacing, faded awe. "Stay with me," he shouted, panic clawing at his insides. He brushed a wet strand of hair from her pale face, trying to keep his breath steady. He could feel her heartbeat flicker, weak and erratic. Moments stretched out unnaturally, the world around them fading into a muted blur. Then, from somewhere deep within the storm, a sudden roar erupted, a deafening sound that jolted Marcus upright. The ground shook beneath them, an unsettling vibration that sent shivers down his spine. He turned, his heart racing, and watched as the figures in suits fell back, seemingly scattered by a force far beyond him. And then, light, blinding, all-consuming light, pouring from above as though a new sun was breaking through the thunderous clouds. Marcus shielded his eyes in disbelief, feeling the warmth of confusion wrap around him, soothing in a way that felt utterly wrong. He gasped, squinting until he could see clearly again. What he saw twisted the very fabric of reality. Hovering above and beneath it, a beam cutting through the rain and finding its mark. "No," Marcus shouted, recognizing the target. "Clara, get down!" But it was too late. The beam shot down, capturing Clara in its blinding light. She gasped, eyes wide, not with fear, but recognition, an expression that struck Marcus to the core. "No, Clara!" And in that moment, everything shifted again. The realization was like ice water splashing against his heart. It wasn't just about her anymore. The truth sliced through the air as Clara's voice echoed back, filled not with confusion, but power. "I'm here to end this," she cried, standing now beneath the gaze of the drone, losing her previous frailty. "End what?" Marcus breathed, a growing dread swelling inside him as the world warped further. Clara, the victim he had fought for, the lost soul he thought needed saving, was orchestrating the entire storm. Betrayal knifed through him, freezing his heart. But before he could process the turmoil, a sudden explosion ruptured the night air. A blast that knocked them both backward, pain crashing over him like a tidal wave. As he gasped for breath, the world spun. Shouts of alarm filled the rain, chaos regaining its grip. Siren wails blended with the storm, and figures rushed from the periphery, weapons drawn. "Stand down!" The authority of voices cut through, sharp and decisive. By instinct, Marcus turned toward Clara, ready to confront her, but she was gone. The light dissipated, revealing a swirling tempest of confusion and chaos. "Clara!" he screamed, panic lacing his words. But she had vanished without a trace, melted back into the shadows she had so effortlessly commanded moments before. The realization struck Marcus harder than any blow. The true game was just beginning, and he had no idea whose side he was truly on. A loud crack resounded through the night, and he turned again, catching a glimpse of something familiar in the confusion. A brief flash of David's face amidst the tumult, eyes filled with urgency. But it was nothing compared to the weight of Clara's ultimate betrayal that now loomed over him. "Where are you?" Marcus shouted to the storm, feeling utterly lost. Questions clawed at him, drowning in a sea of uncertainty. How far would this game stretch? What had he truly been a part of? Thunder rolled, the world around him cracking open with noise, and with each falling raindrop, the ground of his reality shifted. Just as despair settled fully in his chest, he felt a presence behind him, a shadow creeping up. He spun around, eyes wide, ready to get defensive, but instead found himself facing a woman. Tall, drenched, hair plastered to her face. "Marcus!" Her voice was a frantic whisper, but as she stepped forward, he froze. "Leela," his heart sank. Leela was an old friend from Titan Dynamics, someone who had mysteriously disappeared every bit as much as Clara had. "What are you doing here?" Her eyes darted nervously. "We have to go now. Clara, she's not who you think she is. She was never just a pawn. She's the queen, Marcus. The real mastermind, the storm, everything. It was all planned. Marcus's mind whirled. Every moment, every detail fell together in shocking clarity. What do you mean planned? Titan Dynamics needs her. Leela rushed on, urgency slipping through her voice. She has. But another explosion cut through the night, shaking the very ground, and with that, something clicked further in Marcus's mind. It rang through him like a bell, echoing into the depths of his consciousness. Leela, you were in this too. He stepped back, horror washing over him. You're part of the scheme? Panic spread across her face, and for a fleeting second, he saw something darker than fear there. A flicker of something he couldn't quite place. No, I wanted to save you. But Clara, The choice loomed, thick and heavy in the rain-soaked air. Clara had disappeared. Lila's intentions felt twisted. Was anyone real in this chaotic play? And then Lila moved closer, eyes filled with something frantic yet urgent. Marcus, listen to me. They've made a move. They're far more powerful than we know. Power throbbed in the storm, wrapping around them like an unyielding grip. Who? He spat, anger mixing with fear. Who's made a move? But before she could respond, more figures converged, weapons drawn, faces hidden. Tension crackled between them. Lila's expression shifted from urgency to something darker, something that hinted at betrayal. She turned her head slightly, and Marcus caught a glimpse of a wicked smile hiding there. Lila? His voice trembled, fear coursing through him. What are you hiding? And there, in the downpour, everything shifted one final time, a flash, like the world paused for just a moment. The storm felt alive, crackling with potential, shadows shifting away from the light. Then Lila raised a device to her eye, and suddenly the rain illuminated a chilling revelation. They're not coming for us, Marcus. They're coming for her. And soon, they'll find out who the real traitor is. Marcus's heart sank into an abyss of despair as the revelation hung in the air. A truth darker than the night around them, deeper than the storm itself. In the midst of the chaos, Marcus felt the rain shift, a sudden gust pushing him forward into the storm, heart pounding against his chest. Lila, what do you mean? Masked figures closed in, and the dread thickened around them like the oppressive night air. They're here to clean up, Marcus. They want Clara. She knows everything, and they'll stop at nothing to eliminate her. Leela's voice trembled, a blend of fear and urgency. But no sooner had she spoken than more figures emerged from the shadows, masked and armed, cutting through the tempest with a relentless focus. Their intentions were clear, and Marcus felt the weight of his choices crashing down. We have to get out. We can't let them take her, he yelled, instinctively pressing forward. And then everything exploded. A flash brighter than lightning seared through the air, followed by a deafening roar that shook the ground beneath him. The cement felt alive, vibrating as the masked agents began to scatter, caught off guard by the sudden shift in fate. No, he shouted, heart racing. Clara! But in the chaos, time seemed to slow. He scanned the debris, desperate for a glimpse of her. The haze of the storm blurred his vision. And suddenly, there she was, emerging from the shadows, eyes fixed and fierce, like a warrior ready for battle. Clara! Relief surged through Marcus, pushing him forward. But clarity struck him, leaving a cold feeling of dread. What are you doing? He cried, urgency tinged with confusion. I'm taking control. Clara's eyes danced with intensity. This ends now. They can't keep playing us like this. Before he could answer, she turned and faced the encroaching figures, the storm raging around them, as if reflecting the battle within. I know you're here for me, Clara shouted, voice unwavering. But you won't succeed. They've underestimated me all along. The tension peaked, fear mixing with courage. The masked agents shifted uneasily, doubt creeping into their aura. Just then, the air electrified. Voices rose, sounds crackled. A whirlwind of conflicting emotions weaving into the fabric of the storm. "Make her stop," one of the masked figures demanded. But something in Clara's stance, a fierce defiance, made them hesitate. With a flick of her wrist, Clara pulled out a small device that glowed ominously, illuminating the night. "This is where the game changes," she screamed. And for a brief moment, everything froze. The rain paused. The world held its breath. In that suspended silence, the ground shook again, this time in response to Clara's power. The masked agents looked at one another, uncertainty plain on their faces. "You don't understand. We're all in danger," one cried, desperation coloring his words. "Maybe," Clara replied, the words cutting through the air. "But this ends with me," and with that, the device cut through the dark, illuminating a truth no one was ready for. The masked agents backed away, fear overtaking their resolve. "Clara!" Marcus shouted, voice thick with worry. But she pressed forward, unwavering. In one last act of defiance, the air erupted. A surge of energy sparked from the device, a brilliant flash that sent ripples through the crowd. Shadows enveloped the masked figures, and as quickly as it began, the chaos dissipated, leaving only the sound of rain lightly tapping against the pavement. Everything felt surreal, yet the truth that had hung high above them finally descended. "Marcus," Clara's voice trembled, softening as her shoulders slumped. "I didn't mean for you to get involved. This was my fight, my burden." "You should have told me," he responded, pain rippling through his chest. "We could have faced this together. I thought I could protect you." Tears glistened in her eyes, and the storm continued to rage around them, an ominous reminder of the chaos they had both endured. In that moment, they both understood. Their connection, once feeble, had ignited a spark, one that could either light their way or consume them entirely. As they stood together beneath the storm, Marcus felt a flicker of hope mixed with uncertainty. The battle was far from over, but they were ready to face whatever lurked in the shadows. "Together," he whispered, searching her eyes for confirmation, a promise of unity in the face of destruction. "Together," she replied, her voice a fragile thread that bound them. The storm raged on around them, the thunder rolling in the distance, and for once, they felt a calm amidst that chaos, ready to embrace whatever came next. But just then, a shadow flickered in the corner of his eye. They weren't alone. The danger was still there, lurking just beyond the edges of their resolve. Marcus felt the truth of the storm hanging in the air. The mystery was far from over. The night held secrets yet to unfold. And as he looked at Clara, he knew their journey was only just beginning. If you want to know the truth about what happens next, you need to subscribe right now. Don't miss out on the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And share this video immediately with at least 5 friends who need to know this outcome. Don't wait even one more second. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting.